Welcome, everybody. Just for those of you broadcast online or watching online, we'll be beginning in about 2 minutes. So I thought I'd give everybody fair warning. So I'll be back in just a couple minutes.
It's been interesting. We've had a whole cultural shift that is more towards the liberal side, and there's a backlash coming on the left side.
That's going to be my cover letter.
Oh, thank you.
So it gives a little.
I don't know if that makes sense or not. I'm just curious what people's opinions are. I read it horrible. Well, because those couples. Yeah. One thing that
It pings your share and lets you know.
Republican Party is some kind of, it has a virus. And I don't know exactly where it comes from. I keep hearing names thrown out. I don't trust the Republican Party as a party in this state. They've compromised on too many things. I've watched the vote here for 20 years. My grandfather was a sheriff captain in Multnomah County. My family is from here. But I think neither party is trustworthy. You've got people.
All right, here we are.
When you're looking at the machine,
Welcome to Douglas County Citizens Coalition. Let's all gather, and we will. I think I'm on the right page here. Oops, not that one. Let me go back. I was on the right place, but now I'm not. There we go. Let's stand and salute the flag. Let's stand together. Michaela, in honor of the flag, would you stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
For all. Amen. And of course, my favorite part of that is under God. Under God.
Thanks, Jeff.
It is. Douglas County Citizens Coalition, this is who we are. We began in August last year, and I'll just say personally, I was sharing a story about when I got kind of charged up or filled with vision, or, what brought me to this place where I would want to care about, let's say, freedom and issues regarding, our liberties and things like that. And I told a group of people earlier today that it really happened for me about 20 years ago, but it had nothing to do with politics. Literally, I was just reading my Bible, and it came to a point where I actually saw that in order for the end for all things to come, and who I'm holding my hope for, which is Jesus Christ to come back, that unfortunately it looked like things were going to get worse before they got better. And that's something that we Christians, we understand. It's not something that shocks us. It's not something that when we see things going the bad or wrong ways, that we get, overly outraged. If there's something we can do about it, then we do something about it. But you shouldn't be incensed or triggered or all those things. It shouldn't shock you. This world has a veil falling over it. And literally, before it gets truly better, the one we hold our hopes out for isn't going to be put in office by an election. Just to let you know. He's not going to win an election in order to be put in office. But before the end, the darkness and blackness, I just was reading my scriptures and I realized that in order for it to happen, to get really dark, our freedoms would have to be removed. And either they get removed by people willfully, abdicating them, just giving them away. Just here, take my freedoms. I don't want them anymore. And usually we see the biggest key to that is fear. Fear is the way you just get people to bow and give your freedoms up. The second thing is you can get deceived out of your freedoms. You can get just, hey, I will corrupt. I will do anything I can to take your freedom from you by force. And the last remaining group are going to be fighting their freedoms, and unfortunately that group, it's just going to be ripped away from you and from us. Now, happy news. I'd like to be happy, but I saw this a long time ago, and so all this stuff coming up since COVID and all the things that have tried to rip freedoms away, we got charged up in, August last year because, thousands of people in Douglas County started coming to it really got the news from our governor, who said basically every education, every medical, every county, every public, every government employee is going to lose their jobs on October 18th of last year. And I said, okay, that's enough. That's enough. I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something about this. So that's where I kind of came into this. Douglas County Citizens Coalition is dedicated to peacefully working. And I had to say how important that is to say peacefully working. And that works because it's a double-edged sword if we aren't peacefully working. The reason why is you obviously get flagged by people who are in our clear opposition as nutcases or whatever if we're not acting as peaceful people. And the other thing is there are people that are supposedly on our side who won't come near a group of people that are not peacefully working, even though we're technically on the same platform. And so it's so key that we have a demeanor of working peacefully together, but we are protecting our freedoms. One of the reasons why I set up our Telegram platform as a private platform is so that we could vet people. We didn't want to just say, hey, everybody in the world, join our Telegram social media chat platform. What a mistake that would be. So some of you are like, how in the world do I get involved? In fact, tonight, people who've been coming to our groups for a long time had no idea that the reason why they couldn't find our Telegram group is because it's private. And you need an invitation. And so it's just important that we work together, peacefully working together, protect our freedoms by taking intelligent action, not spastic action. And we be careful. There's a lot of conspiracy theories that fuel a lot of our actions in some ways. There's people, but we try not to keep the conspiracy theorists in our administration group. You know what I'm saying? You guys, all you people that kind of read conspiracies, I read my share of them, okay? But unfortunately, I keep a kind of a buffer between them and try not to let them drive my emotions to trigger. And that makes me a good administrator, okay? Just letting you know. And so it's important that, hey, if you got rabbit trails you like to run down and rocks you like to turn over, and some of them are conspiracy, knock yourself out. But when it comes down to it, there are people that will, like I said, keep us as a coalition they'll keep us away from them with a 20-foot pole if they can start labeling all of the nutcases that are in our administration group. And so I'm just saying, we understand you like conspiracies, but we're trying to keep a good kind of a palatable, credible group of people, because there are people we know, a little bit of red pilling going on, even with people on our own team. So anyway, just saying, yeah. Yeah, knock yourself out, but really we're trying to keep a measured approach to this. And let's make sure that we don't burn the people that we're trying to win in the process. Is that fair? So, taking care of offering real solutions to those in power, standing with each other when needed, and using Constitution supporting laws as our indisputable platform because God made us free. All right? Yeah, I clap to that too. God made us free. First three words he said to Adam before Eve was around, it's in chapter 2. You know, Adam and Eve appear in chapter 1. And then it goes back to chapter 2, goes to chapter 2, and Eve's not there. Well, the first three words he speaks to Adam is, you are free. You are free. Of all the trees in the garden, you are free to eat. And so on. It's almost like, to me, that's the very first, the most essential piece of God's essence that he stamped into man that made him in his image. Because God is free, isn't he? And he planted that in Adam. He said, you're not like any other thing I created. You are free. You're free to love me. You're free to not love me. You're free to obey me. You're free to not obey me. You are free. It's the most basic and essential thing. So there I am. I just preached. Okay, so I'm done. Abby, you ready to come up here? Okay. I told her I didn't have an agenda in front of me, so that was going to happen. So, all right.
Yeah, I don't have an agenda either, so our agenda keeper is late, but that's okay. We want to thank you, Jeff, for letting us meet here, because without this great place and perfect setup and all the work Jeff does, then we would be scrambling. So thank you very much, Jeff, for hosting us, and leading us. We appreciate it. Also, oh my gosh, I just had like 10 thoughts go through my head while I was standing back there and he was talking. There was one specifically, I can't remember now. Okay, I don't know. It was something that when you were talking about this. No, I pulled it up on my phone. It's okay. But I just had a thought. I was going to say something regarding something that you had said while you were up here. Now I can't think of it. So anyways, we're going to move on from that. Well, most of you we're pretty much already here for our election integrity, and just a couple other people I think have walked in. So I'll just say we're moving along. We have stuff going on for election integrity. We're going to have our fair booth. If you want to give any information for your committee that you guys are on, although I know that the GOP is going to probably have a booth. But anyways, we're putting together more information, and the reason I don't have the fair sign up yet for our fair booth, because I've been in touch with people across the state. There's a lot of groups like ours that are having booths this year at the fair to get information out. So I'm coordinating with a couple different people, and so I wanted to have that conversation tomorrow before, hopefully on Monday, I'll have for our next election integrity. And then once we get it, we'll get it out on the coalition email and on the Telegram page, the information when we have it available. We do have the booth for the fair. Anyways, so that's a quick update on that. If you're interested in getting information on the election integrity, I think you guys are the only ones that walked in. Is there anybody else who was not here for election integrity? I don't think so. Let us know, and if you're not on our email list, we can, shoot you an update. Give Jeff your email. He'll put it into our coalition email address. Michaela had the resolution. I think if you guys would like a copy of that, although you might have already from the GOP, and then the PCP meeting coming up on the 23rd. We want everybody to go. And so basically, a couple things that I wanted to talk about tonight that aren't necessarily action items. Most of you have heard what we call my Braveheart speech before multiple times, so I will not go back through that. But I would say that what a lot of us need to remember is that this is a long haul. This is not a quick fix. We're not going to get an initiative out that's going to resolve our issues on May 30th of next year. We're not going to have everything fixed even by November of next year. This has taken us a long time to make a big mess out of. It's going to take us a long time to get out of it. So I know for real, a lot of people have experienced burnout. A lot of people in our administrative group have, worked so much, so hard for so long that people have experienced burnout. And so I would say this is a sort of a war, a battle that we're involved in. It doesn't look like, when you think of the term war, what you would think of from previous wars past. But this is something that we have to really be prepared for, looking down the long road of, and maintaining the course. And if it gets hard, because we're a society that's super accustomed now to convenience and distraction and those sorts of things. It's really easy to say, oh, I'm so busy with this, or I can't really get involved in that because we've got this going on, or we're into baseball right now, or we're into this isn't going to go away. We have to dig in and think about if it's uncomfortable, if we miss some stuff, we give up some of our luxuries or our convenience. Put yourself in the position of those other people in the past who have been in war and maybe what they went through, which is a lot different than maybe having to give it up your weekend of Netflix or, whatever it is that you might have to put to the side. And then think about the alternative. If we're not doing these things, I know most everybody here is pretty active in doing things, but in conversations that you have with friends and neighbors, instead of just, beating down trigger topics, where are we going to be with gas prices the way they are, or water issues in some of the states where the ranchers and farmers are leaving and because there's no water? Where are we going to be in a year from now, or 6 months from now, or 2 years from now? I'm real curious with all the stuff that's happened across the United States, specifically for farmers and ranchers. What's going to happen in our food supply in the next 6 months to a year and a half? And these things are trickle-down effects, right? Like, what does it cost for fertilizer? No one can afford fertilizer. No one can afford to haul the fertilizer. No one can afford the fuel to apply the fertilizer or plant the seeds, or, water's getting cut off from so many people. People don't have rights to water anymore. So these are all things that people need to, these are topics that, you can get in. You can't talk about things with people like, COVID or vaccines or Trump or Republicans and Democrats. Those are all things that are just gonna, like I think you said earlier, Walt, that like people would, cut on their hand. It was Trump's fault. People are just so easily triggered. There's so many other things that you can talk to your friends and neighbors about that affect everyone, no matter what party you're registered, no matter what political perspective you have or social perspective. There are things that are affecting all of us the same. And that's what we should all be concerned for, is all of our liberty and our freedom and rights. All of our rights to food, water, to educate our children and how we educate them. So these are things that affect everyone, no matter where you stand politically. And so these are things that, we need to be getting the word out to more people and talking about these things with more people. We have some major issues going on with, thank you. We have some major issues going on in our justice system. And not just like federally, like we have some weird stuff where a Supreme Court justice was sworn in before we even had a spot for them, which is weird. We had a Supreme Court leak, which is weird. We've had all sorts of weird stuff happening in our federal and state court systems, but I'm going to tell you, those problems are here in Douglas County. We have a DA's office that I can't figure out. I'm married to a police officer who I hear stories all the time of the complete and total dirtbags that get arrested and don't even spend a night in jail. And I went last month and spent 2 days at a sentencing hearing for a man I've known most all my life. He is a rancher in the area, and I will tell you that he and his son, when Glide was on fire, and the fire could have easily come down North Bank to Sutherland and to Roseburg. It was taking out all the houses, or starting to take out houses on Lone Rock Road. And this man and his son brought their equipment on their own dime and at just a moment's notice out to Glide. And because of them, stopped the fire in 2 places significantly, saving not only homes in the Lone Rock area, but the fire from spreading down North Bank, the ridge coming down the Wilbur, Glide to Wilbur area. And that's just one thing. He's involved in 4-H. Anyways. He was in a self-defense situation. I don't know if anybody heard about it on the news. He was at Papa Murphy's having a conversation. And this is all stuff that I actually really got the gist from watching testimony from the Papa Murphy's employee and watching video from Papa Murphy's. But essentially, he's in Papa Murphy's in Green. He's sitting there with his little granddaughter, and a guy walks in, makes an order, and they don't know each other, but they strike up a conversation just because this gentleman was not wearing a mask. And so the other guy was like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm going to take my mask off too. And they just kind of start talking. And then some other person who doesn't know them comes in and is very triggered by the fact that they're not wearing a mask. She gets into it with them. She leaves. A few minutes later, what they don't realize initially, but it was her husband comes in. He picks right up where she left off, just interfering with their conversation. They're not even, they're not raising their voices, they're not swearing, but this guy is. He's swearing, he's saying really loud, obnoxious stuff. And anyways, throughout the time he's there, he keeps at them, yelling profanities at them, threatens them, and he seems to be leaving out the door. And he flips the bird to him, and, the guy, the rancher, is like, you need to get out of here because there's a little kid there, there's people, and he just keeps The guy comes after the rancher jumps up to meet him, and the guy clocks him, the rancher. The antagonizer clocks the rancher at least once, says, "I'm gonna effing kill you," clocks him again, and witnesses, right, on video. The rancher reaches into his pocket, grabs his pocket knife, self-defense, stabs the guy, puts his pocket knife back in his pocket. It's on video. There's testimony of the guy who'd walked into order. There's testimony from a Papa Murphy's employee. This guy had 2 courtrooms full of people from our community who came to testify on behalf of his character. And he's gonna have to serve this fall, after haying season and everything is over, he's gonna have to serve 90 days in jail. And he is now a felon for the rest of his life. He had to take himself out of him and his son's business. He will never, he's a hunter. He, defends his ranch. The DA's office went after his killing coyotes to protect his sheep. He loses, a significant number of livestock a year. But this is what I'm saying. This man is going to spend 90 days in jail here from Douglas County, sentenced for self-defense, what was clearly self-defense, with witnesses and video, from a guy who was antagonizing him with witnesses. Yes? I don't know. He could have been. He's a green guy. He did talk a lot of stuff about the people up in Seattle and Antifa in support of them. But regardless, we need to be involved in our community. We need to do things. We need to look at who's our DA. When it comes time to elect a new DA, we need to do that. City Council's meeting tonight. If anybody has an opportunity to head over there from here, head over there, because they're talking, I think, again tonight. Oh, they're not talking about that tonight?
They're supposed to have some kind of meetings. I don't know if they're going to or not.
Okay, so last month they had their proclamation. Several of us went over there. They had several proclamations, one of which was to declare the city of Roseburg to declare June the Pride Month for the LG, Yeah, for the big alphabet. Anyways, we mentioned before, Olga, who is part of this group, was sitting in the audience peacefully, respectfully, didn't say anything. And, this group of people who their big claim to this proclamation, this need for this proclamation, was that they didn't feel safe. So somehow proclaiming the month of June, Pride Month, is now going to make them feel safe. And some people from that group or that portion of the audience then they start taking pictures of people in the audience and putting them on social media and blowing them up all over, calling them racist and homophobic and hateful and all of these things. Who's on that city council? I don't live in the city of Roseburg, but if I lived in the city of Roseburg, I'd be paying attention to who's coming up next and running for that spot. Because you guys, we gotta get people replaced. Yes, please do.
Sherry Brady wanted to remind us that the final deadline for filing for candidacy for things like city council and mayor is the 21st of this month. 21st of this month.
No, I don't live in the city of Roseburg, guys. Anyways, yes. Sure. Go ahead. So anyways, while she's on her way up here, you guys, these are things that we need to be getting involved in. Go ahead.
So one more thing that's coming up that I want all the PCPs to pay attention to is we are electing a new board in November.
Yes, very important.
It's very important. We don't have a date set yet, so you're going to need to pay attention to your email, but everybody needs to show up. If you were elected as a PCP, you can vote. That's the only PCPs that can vote for the board are the ones that were just elected. So it's very important. If you were elected, you have that power, and you get to decide who the next executive board is. You can run for the executive board as long as you're eligible to be a PCP, so you do have to be a Republican for a certain number of days prior to the election. We have a nominating committee that they just put together. Not quite sure what that means, but we're going to get down to the bottom of that. But if you guys are interested in running for the board, we are looking for good people, and we will help promote and help good people get elected to that board. It's really important. Grassroots is where this is at. We got to solve it from the bottom. We have to solve it from the bottom first.
Thank you. So anyways, I'm going to wrap up here. So I don't remember her name. To be honest, I actually thought she was doing a good job right up to the end because she did cut off the assistant DA when they were just they made this big deal about on Harry's Facebook page. He has a picture of a tree on the back of his ranch with dead coyotes on it. And they started going down this whole thing of, do you beat the coyotes over the head with a bat? I mean, it was just ridiculous. So anyways, she put a stop to that. So I don't know what happened there, but what I'm saying is we need to pay attention to all of these positions, whether it's the water district. I know we don't have a special election right now, but all of these positions that are coming up, you don't maybe think that you're qualified, but what we need is people with common sense. That's the qualification, is common sense, and we're lacking that in a lot of the positions that we have. So talk to your friends and neighbors. Maybe you know somebody with a lot of common sense. I've talked to several people for the last year and a half that I think that have a lot of common sense that should run for stuff, and I'm striking out so far because people aren't really willing to give up their day job, but somebody's going to be bound to do it at some point in time. As far as basically, just to kind of wrap this up, and then do we have Terry's article? Okay. Anyways, just basically to say, I really appreciate that the group of you guys who come and show up and who are involved and active, and I think that you're going to find that, maybe you already have, that it's meaningful to be a part of something like this, and for maybe when before you felt frustrated or worried or stressed out or anxious, maybe now you find some comfort in being a part of something and taking some positive action and feeling like you're going to make a difference, because I do believe at some point in time that you are going to. I think we were going to try to have copies of Terry Noonkester, who is part of our group, had a great article. It was the one after this. She has a couple of great articles, actually, and so we were going to try to have some copies available. I think of the most recent one on was it Real Doubt? What is that website? Huh? Yeah. So if we are able to get that printed, we'll have some copies available in the back for everybody on their way out, and as well as everybody should have a copy of the resolution. Yes?
I think all of her articles are also reposted on douglascounty.gov.
Oh. Okay, so she's saying that Terry's article should be available on Douglas County GOP's website? Okay. So I think next up we have, again, I'm just going to reiterate really quickly, I think we're going to try to get through the next couple of items, and then if anybody is interested or willing to, I would recommend going over to the city council meeting to hearing what they have to say, because they need to see that people are interested. Jeff, did you have something before Janae? Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Janae, you're next, okay? Hiding back there? Okay. So real quick, this was brought to my attention, Samantha. This is pretty cool. Basically, it's from True the Vote. True the Vote was a group that put together the 2,000 Mules, who are the two key named people that are super, Greg Phillips and Gangabright. So those two put out this link, and I've done this, so I recommend it's just you do it as well. Protect America Vote Citizens and Sheriffs. There's a link here. You basically follow the link, you give your information, and it pings our local sheriff and lets them know who are the constitutional people that will be there, just like our vision statement says, our mission statement. It says that we want to stand behind people in positions of power. Boy, I really want our sheriff to know that we are a huge throng of people, that if he were to be courageous and go tell our governor that she can go jump off a cliff if she's going to take away the citizens of Douglas County's rights, that he knows he's got hundreds of citizens that will rise up and support him. So that's really what it's about. So protectamerica.vote, protectamerica.vote. What? I don't think so. Yeah. I think we could eventually win our sheriff over because he said if we brought fraud to him that he would do something about it. What were you going to say, Larry? Yeah. Yep. Everybody hear that? It's protectamerica.vote. Protectamerica.vote. All right, Janae.
Okay. I wrote my notes this time, so I will read off of them so I can make sure I say everything. Moms for Liberty update. We are going to have a meeting next Monday, the 18th at 6:45, and the election integrity meeting will be before that, I think, 5:30. So we may incorporate, some people might have to leave if we're still going on election integrity to go to the Moms for Liberty, or just whatever we got to do, we'll do. We'll be voting on the bylaws because now we're actually official because we've been approved. And we have our own Facebook page that I'm still learning about. That's why if any of you guys are members and you're wondering why I seem like I drowned somewhere and you didn't hear from me, it's because I have to call the tech back in Florida. She gives these orientations on how just to run the website because as you guys know, and we all know here, trolls are everywhere. I have to learn how to vet people. I've never ran a Facebook page like that. I mean, I've had a very small one, but not one where you're an admin and you're having to, vet people because it's happening on the Moms for Liberty. They'll actually send out warnings of people's names. I mean, in all these counties back east that have the same name, and it's a bunch of garbage. But I'm learning how to do that, so that's why I'm a little bit behind. So I apologize, you guys. But just like you. We're, summer, it's going crazy. It's going to be next Monday, July 18th at 6:45 here. And like I said, we'll be voting on bylaws because that's the first thing you kind of got to get up and going is everybody agrees on bylaws, and then we start to get agendas. But the mission of Moms for Liberty is in a nutshell, it's to unify, educate, and empower parents to defend their parental rights. This week they're having a national conference, which would have been cool to go to, but I don't like to fly, and I don't have, the cool thing is they were getting scholarships for the chapter chairs to go back east, so that was kind of cool. I mean, I found out about it late, but then I thought, even if I could go, I'd have to write my will out and take a Xanax, and yeah. Definitely have somebody pick me up at the airport. Anyway, so if anyone isn't a member of Moms for Liberty, there's a sign-up sheet in the back, and you can get a hold of me. So the action items that I have are school board meetings. I know it's summertime, and sometimes we don't think that school boards meet in the summertime, but they actually do, and that's when a lot of things happen, too, behind people's, they don't know because everybody's busy, and we're all busy. I get that. So if you guys have a chance, look up, any school district meetings in your local area, and, just go in and let them see your eyeballs. Because you know what? They do notice. They notice new people. I went to the Roseburg School District, I think I shared with you guys, and there was literally like 6 people there. And out of the 6, there was probably like 3 of us that were just citizens. But they noticed. I mean, they said things to you. So, and mostly they were thankful that, hey, thanks for coming. And, because reality is they do want people to know what they're doing, but we may not agree on what they are doing. School choice, the other action item is those petitions that I had last meeting, it was for Mark Thielman, it's called Education Freedom for Oregon. And Mark Thielman is one of the chief petitioners for those 2 items. One is the school choice, and the school choice is where, and I said $7,600 is what a child is worth. They're actually worth more than that. That's only what the school district will allow to move from district to district is only $7,600. It's like, I think almost $13,000 is what, is it 15? Okay, I haven't seen the exact numbers yet, but I had heard that it was around 13 something. So that money can help kids. I don't know if you guys saw an article not too long ago, but there was a child who had special needs, and the district she lived in, the schools couldn't help her. And so I think she ended up having to be, homeschooled, and it was too much for the mom, and she was upset because the child really needed, it was like a physical thing that they needed. So if that gets passed, that money could go and help that child with, whatever physical abilities, whatever they need for that school. And the other one is open enrollment, and the open enrollment is hand in hand with the school choice, meaning that the parent can say, hey, I want my child to go to that school in that district because they have a great art, drama, anything like that, that maybe the school district they live in isn't something that the child is interested in. And, if you guys are around a lot of homeschool people enough, you'll figure out and you'll step out of that box like I had to and realize that the government just, wants us to think one way when our kids are in public school. And I went through that with my son who's ADD. And I would get so ticked off that he would go to school all day, then he would come home and do 4 hours of schoolwork with me. And I would just like, why? Even all the way through almost high school. And so if I would have turned back time and I would have let him be homeschooled, he could have studied the things that were really interesting to him and still could have learned very well, like math and English. And you just let him have that subject, like science. Boys love dinosaurs and breaking crap and putting it back together. That's how they learn. And so I would, for his sake, I regret that. But anyway, I'm just saying, so some of this money could go to programs like that for our kids to expand their minds and let them learn easier. So anyway, I'm going to let Save Our Schools group come on up and give a little shout out to what they're doing as we go hand in hand with the Republican Party that's doing the SOS.
Well, thanks for letting, just kind of an announcement that we can be on the shirt tails of Moms for Liberty. This committee is called Save Our Schools, and it's rather new, and we're having a meeting Wednesday at 2 o'clock. And Bob and I were invited, and we prayed about it, and we accepted co-chairing this committee. And so Bob's good at this kind of stuff, not me so much. But we came up with a mission statement that I hope really clarifies what this goal and objectives are. We're dedicated specifically to identifying and acting on opportunities to fundamentally change our Douglas County School boards to reflect a moral, classical, and a constitutional approach to educating our children. And so we are looking for volunteers. There's so many things to get involved in, but this one I think is, well, like Moms for Liberty and the others are so important. This one is too, very much so. And we need folks to show up and want to actually help us by attending the board meetings, which Janae and Moms for Liberty it's a good partnership. The purpose of an attending these meetings would be to observe and thanks to Michaela, I had put together just a list of all the board members, and if the websites had information about when their terms are up and such, I just put together a little Excel report, and she was kind enough to search through the voter rolls and find out what party these folks are affiliated with. And it's been helpful. Of course, there's a lot of non-affiliated voters, so there's a real purpose to observe, make notes, find out by, just listening good and maybe discussing with other people that are attending to understand kind of where these folks are coming from. Because honestly, if they don't line up with this mission, they're the target. And the one that we've been to, there's a couple of folks that their approaches do not line up with this mission at all. And so when their term's up, not only is this committee, but we want to equip and train candidates that have been vetted that will run on the Republican ticket. So it's a long-term thing too, but we really want to advance and start working on this and start getting things done. And if you're interested, I'd love to have you attend. It's going to be at the DC headquarters, GOP headquarters at 2 o'clock on Wednesday. So it'd be great if some of you could come. Yeah.
When you talked about that you're vetting people, Moms for Liberty, they're a 501c4, and that means you guys can donate to them, but it's not a tax-deductible contribution because they are able to back up certain candidates for school board. That's the only political, I don't even say political, but that's the only candidates that Moms for Liberty will back up. They don't do governors or commissioners. It's school board candidates. So that's we're in tandem there to vet those, but they'll make signs for, we'll get we'll be able to get signs made and things like that, just like what you guys are doing. So
logistics from what I've gathered from Mr. Hurd, the logistics of placing the signs, because, these are nonpartisan people. You have no idea what they stand for, and it's maybe kind of hard to search it out. So if you see one in your neighbor's yard, it's like, yeah, I'm going to vote for Joe. You bet. Well, we need to strategically place those, and there's a fellow that has really, through a GPS opportunity and whatnot, has put together a very effective thing. And we want to copy it. We want to understand it, and not only train these people, but I know Douglas County, they're going to pick up the tab on a lot, everything they can. And they're going to be raising money. So it's not scary for somebody to want to be a school board member, June 30th of 2023, what I found. Yeah, so next year, and those that, once we identify, then we need to get busy.
And don't be afraid to email your school board members and ask them questions, or even, because I've been in a meeting outside of a school board with the superintendent and the board chair. You guys can do that too. You guys can take a little group of people with questions and ask them, hey, can we, get them out of the regular meeting so that you can have more time with them. Some of them may not be up for that. They want to do email, but at Glide, we talk to them in a room. And then, you guys can ask questions too. Where are their civics education at? That's a great question to ask every single school board because they probably don't even know. So. And curriculum. Yep. Curriculum committees, that's important to ask them. Yeah. Yep, so you guys can email your school board members and ask them if on their curriculum committee, or if they even have a curriculum committee. And if they do, ask them, are their parents or citizens allowed? Not even parents, can be citizens, tax-paying people. Anybody that's a tax-paying citizen in there can be on their committee. And ask them why if they don't. I mean, I asked Roseburg when I was doing the review for the curriculum a couple months ago, and I asked the gal that was on the curriculum committee, works for Douglas ESD, and I said, why don't you have a parent on there? And she said, because ultimately it is the school board's decision. that didn't sit okay with me, but I was not in a position, I was trying to keep calm and cool and just, get all the information about the curriculum, but I'm like, well, that doesn't really make sense. Because she said, I looked at the curriculum with my teacher eyes. I looked at the curriculum then with my mom eyes. And, she didn't really see anything in one curriculum. There was the other curriculum, the Great Body Shop, that wasn't okay. And guess what? They picked the Great Body Shop. They picked it. So, yep. Jeff, do we have anybody else to end today?
Let's see. That's some Braveheart stuff from Abby we already got. And stuff on there like the fair, and we've mentioned, and I think we did election integrity. Anything else there?
Oh, the education freedom for Oregon. You can go, he has a Telegram channel. I mean, it doesn't have Mark on it. It just says that he's a chief petitioner when you look on the petitions. So you can't. It's called Education Freedom for Oregon.
Did you say everything like we got Terry's article? I think we've printed some of it.
Okay, and we're handing Terry's the article, and then was it Michaela's, the resolution that you brought too? So everybody's going to get a handout tonight. Okay. Oh. Here.
Okay, this is just a new thing that I don't have a lot of information. There's no solid information, but I think there's an investigation that needs to happen. So if anybody has time, I have too many projects and I really want to do this. It's super important, but I'm going to fail if I take this on. So if somebody else can take this on, this would be awesome. We had 300 and some PCPs that were on the ballot or write-ins. We got preliminary results from Dan Loomis that showed that we had enough votes for a large number of PCPs to be elected. Preliminarily, that's what it showed. When we actually got the results, I think we have about 180 PCPs. It's a difference of quite a significant number of PCPs who Dan Loomis has told us that these people did not fill out their SEL 105D or SEL 105N to be nominated. And you have to have a nomination in order to be able to accept being elected. So anyway, we had a PCP, awesome lady, who went to bat for one of her people who she had, tried to get elected, and basically went back and forth with Dan and Andrew at the clerk's office and said, no, she did file her SEL 105D. We have proof of this. They reversed the election results on her certification. She is now an elected PCP because she fought for it. How many of these other PCPs were not elected because they don't know any better? They don't know this process. I want to know specifically who were write-ins, how many votes they got, and I want to reach out to these people, and I want to say, did you fill out your SEL 105D, or did somebody fill out your SEL 105N for you? We need to get to the bottom of this if we do not have election integrity here in Douglas County. How can we fix the rest of the country? So anyway, I have information that I'm going to give to Terry. I'm hoping she will write an editorial on it to bring attention to it, but I need this information from the county clerk. So if anybody's willing to go and talk to him and try to get the information, it's a project, but I think it would be worthwhile. I haven't posted anything on Telegram because I'm still waiting on getting permission from the emails that were going back and forth from the people who were involved in it. And I do want to get her buy-in before we, sort of expose this whole thing, but I am planning on sharing this information out. Yes. Right, yeah. And I'm just going to say, honestly, you guys, right now, unless I give something up, I'm not going to be able to spearhead this. I really if you know anybody that can step up and take ownership of this, I'm asking for help, I guess, because I can't. like Abby was talking about, we're all facing burnout. I have about 15 projects that I'm trying to, dedicate all this time to, and I have 3 little boys at home that I miss way too often to do this stuff, so. Yes, yeah. Exactly. I have a hard time getting away from work during the day, which is when Dan's in his office, so somebody that can go to his office and actually request this information would be super helpful, but. Cherie's in the same boat, I think, quite honestly. I mean, she is trying to get this stuff done, but she has so many responsibilities. She's the PCP coordinator, she's the secretary, among all the other things that she has her hands in. And so I think it's just like a lot of us that are sort of taking ownership of these projects are getting to our limit of like, I don't have any more time in the day. I'm out, so. But I wanted you guys to know it's out there, and I actually think it's low-hanging fruit. You want to show that there's an election integrity issue, that's it. So. Well, if Dan will just give us the information without having to do a Freedom of Information Act request, I think that would be fantastic. I mean, really what we want is we want the actual results of the PCPs, their names, how many votes each of them got, and then we just need to identify who those people are, go to them and say, did you fill out your SEL 105D or SEL 105N? We'll get them to sign an affidavit saying they did and show any evidence that they have, because if you do it online, you get something back from the Secretary of State's office, a confirmation saying you did this, right? So I think the starting point is we need that list. We need to know who the write-in PCPs are, how many votes they got. And we need to compare it to his results, because the preliminary results and the official results do not match. Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, he'll tell you if he's not willing to give it to you that way. He gives me lots of information. I'll email him and he'll give me things, but we haven't gotten anything on this, and it's very specific information that we need. I have a feeling we're going to run into an issue where it's going to go, oh no, it's a privacy concern or something because they didn't fill out their SEL 105D or whatever excuse, but we have to try, so. Yeah. And I mean, we're gonna have to do it. So anyway, we need PCPs. Seriously, this election is a big deal in November. We need these PCPs, you guys. So, yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, having 300 PCPs, that's never happened in Douglas County before. That's how many people are interested. So it's amazing. And I do think that we need to support these people who stepped up and, were write-in. And so, anyway. I don't know the exact number, but I do know that we were around 300 PCPs, and we, I think, ended up electing like 180 something. So it's a significant number that are missing. Mm-hmm. Right, yeah. And then the DC Coalition actually did a whole bunch more. Abby helped get a ton of write-ins. So I don't think that many are a mistake is all I'm saying. I think that there's some discrepancy there. So, and even if we got 20 more, even if we got 2 more, it doesn't matter. The fact that somebody wasn't certified that should have been, we need to fix it. So that's my spiel. Who's next? No one? All right. Get up here and pray. You're the expert.
That was good. 1 hour meeting, 7:28. Let's pray. Father, thank you so much that we just pray your blessing on our country. We pray for our state, our county. Lord, we'd really love to see a revival left in it. I just believe there is. So we ask you to just part Red Seas. We pray that you would do miraculous things. We just ask for you to do things that we can't do on our own. So empower us, because we don't want to do nothing. So, Father, we just pray your blessing, for it's only in you that things happen that bring freedom, truth, light, love, and all these things. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.